We're good, Tim.
Are you going to start it? We let
Get
people in?
started. We're
Oh,
good.
Oh,
Yep.
all right. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to anyone in Alaska. Want to thank you all for joining our Flintlock AI seamless integration presentation today. I see that we have a mix of people joining, both current customers and some prospects. So I'm going to give just a quick little background and introductions. So for the folks you have on this panel, first off, my name is Tim Gavin. I'm the COO of Flintlock. We already have Mike Wasserman, who is our CRO. And then we have our fearless leader and founder, CEO, Sean McLaughlin. Now, Sean, you can be sure will jump in if I get off the rails at any point in time. So, you'll hear from him at some point during the presentation. So for those who are not Flintlock customers, just a very, very quick background on who we are. So we are the one and only truly cloud-based dealer management system in the market. We currently have about 200 customers throughout the US, Canada, and Guam. And that puts us at over 300 rooftops and just around 3,000 users. We work with everything from smaller outdoor power equipment dealers all the way to very large multi-location heavy equipment dealers. And our system, our DMS, will handle everything from your sales, your service, your inventory, rentals, point of sale, CRM, and so on. Flintlock is very proud to say that we are the largest single DMS out there. And what does that mean? Well, all of our customers, all of those 3,000 users that I mentioned, we all sit in one Google Cloud database. So that means we are literally hosting more users than any other single DMS out there. All right. And so with that, I'm going to share my screen and we're going to do a quick little presentation on our AI features, and then we're going to get into a demo. And finally, we'll open it up to questions. Okay. So first off, I want to state that Flintlock's artificial intelligence is built into the product. It's not bolted on like you're going to see with other DMSs. So let's go through a couple of the categories that we have here and talk about how Flintlock's AI is different and why we are seamless. So as I mentioned, all of our dealers are using one system, one cloud-based application. All right. Older software products are not necessarily cloud-based. They might say they're cloud-based, but chances are they were a single server that used to sit under your desk or some back room, and then it was moved to the cloud. But it's still a single instance for every one of the DMS's customers. And that makes it really difficult to go and build new models and modules onto that. Our AI is going to be built directly into your daily workflows, all right? When we're going to go through some of these exercises from receiving and from CRM, you're going to see it's built right into the product. It's not going to be a separate add-on that's bolted on to the system. Now, a lot of these other DMSs, they're going to have other applications that are not native to it, such as like a CRM. So they'll have a CRM that they kind of bolted on top of their existing DMS. And that makes it really difficult to go and put a new module like AI that can go and talk to the both systems. It makes it clumsy. Again, it's a bolt-on. All of this data that you have is going to be in one system, like the Flintlock DMS. Again, versus disconnected data that might be in some of the other DMSs. It's really going to go and limit what the AI can learn from. Right? So the artificial intelligence needs to have all this data that it can go and put through its models. And again, that makes it really difficult if you have multiple data sets for that. And then the technology. Our tech, as I said, is all Google-based, and it's all in the cloud. And the legacy technology makes this really, really difficult. So think about how often, if you're on a legacy DMS, you might get an upgrade, right? It might be once a year, it might be even longer. With the Flintlock technology, we can roll out new AI features weekly, monthly, whereas other DMSs, this might take a year before you can even see something that's kind of a bolt onto that they're putting into the system. Okay. And finally, Flintlock is using AI in our software development itself. And so what does that mean? It means that you get to get more features faster because we're able to take advantage of AI to build product faster, better, cleaner. And we even had a rumor come through that some of these a CEO of a competitor product said to the Wall Street analyst, because it's a publicly traded company, that he was actually worried about his company's ability to keep up with competitors because of AI, because they can't roll out the features as quickly and they don't have the infrastructure to go and handle that as easily. AI is changing constantly. Models are coming out all the time. Flintlock can quickly go and adjust with these models and deploy them. Whereas, again, our competitors are going to be lucky if they can get one model out a year. All right. So the questions everyone asks when it comes to AI is, what's happening with my data? All right. Everyone is concerned about their data. We're going to give you a couple of options when it comes to this. So first off, we can say that the AI will train only on your data, right? It's only going to learn on information that is within your dealership. So like I said at the very beginning, Flintlock has one giant database, but everything is kept compartmentalized. And so we can train the AI so it's only going to use your information. Now, you also have the ability to contribute anonymously with your data. Now, not personally identifiable information. We're not going to share any of your customer data, but kind of generic data, such as your information around your work orders, complaints, causes, corrections. And in this way, if the AI can train off of your information and other customers' information, plus the internet, the answers that it can go and give you when you have a tech that's going to come in and say, okay, I've got this particular machine and it won't start, and here's the make and model of it, it can go and look not just at your own data, but all the other Flintlock customers, and again, even the internet. So you will have the ability to opt into that. Or you can say, hey, I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat. I don't trust AI. I don't want it to look at my data. I want it to have nothing to do with me. And you'll have the ability to opt out on that. Now, at some point, as we start rolling all this out, you're going to get some little legal pop-up for someone who's legally responsible for your firm. That's going to you're going to acknowledge any one of these options in here. That's going to be to protect both us and to protect you. Okay, and then finally, understand that your data stays within Flintlock, right? So certain information is going to get run through the AI models, right? But it's not stored up there. It gets run through the model, and still that personally identifiable information, like your customers' phone numbers and things like that, will never ever even get put through those data models. Okay. All right. And so with that, we're going to jump into two different cases that Flintlock is building for artificial intelligence right now. Okay. The first one is going to be a cost-saving use case, and this is going to go through the receiving process. The second case is going to be through our lead generations, our CRM, and that's going to be a revenue generating case. So first, let's hop into the smart receiving. Receiving is a pain in the butt process. All right. I'm just a software guy. I don't have to do this on a day-to-day basis, but you folks do, and you know how difficult and time-consuming that can be. So Flintlock is trying to make this process easier. What we're doing is we're going to go through the receiving vouchers that you're going to receive from your different OEMs, and we're going to parse that. So I chose to use a particularly gnarly one, and Sean, that's his particular word that he loves to use, and I'm going to choose PACCAR. So I'm going to guess like 99% of you don't use PACCAR, but this is one of the more difficult receiving vouchers you're going to see out there. And what we are doing is we are training the AI on all the different OEMs vouchers, right? And we're going through all the different parts and pieces of this thing. What's the due date, and what's the invoice date, and the PO numbers and things like that. And you can see here with this PACCAR one, it's kind of difficult to go and parse through in here. And so we actually started with one of the more difficult use cases first. So with that, I'm going to go and jump into the Flintlock system. Okay. And over here, you can see I've got some of the recent purchase orders. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into this particular PACCAR order that I've got. And this is a somewhat simple use case, but I've got 4 different items on my PO. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight to my Smart Receive. And I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go and select that particular voucher. All right. And so right now it's going to go and take a look at this thing. It's going to go through the model that it's been trained on. And it's going to pull out all the different parts and pieces. And so it's going to go and match up all of the different items that are on there. In addition, it's going to go and find any potential discrepancies. And as it does that, it's going to go and give me a real English use case of what was going on. So first off, you can see up here, it pulled up some of the top level details. This is in US dollars. Here's the bill ID. Here's the voucher creation date. Okay. And then it went through already and it found, okay, there was 0 differences from a overall cost standpoint. And you can see down here on all these different line items, it went through and it basically auto-received each of the ones where there was a direct match. Okay. It also even found that there was a freight expense on this thing, and it added down here as an additional fee, and it threw the attachment onto this as well. Now, what do we have up here? This is where we're going to have our Smart Receive summary. So in 2 out of the 4 items, it found no issues, and it did an auto match. On one of the items, it actually found a cost differential, right? And in this case, we're actually going to go and we're going to keep the cost as it was on the voucher. But it gave you a little explanation of what was going on here. And then we actually had a quantity dispute, all right? So the PO had 24 and we received 20. Now that might be fine, right? So in here, I can just come in here and I can receive that and we can proceed. What we're going to go do here as well is let's think about some of the other discrepancies that might happen. All right. So let's say I didn't under-receive, right? Because maybe these are going to come in another receiving voucher. But maybe I actually over-received and I got 28 instead of 24. What it's going to do is it's going to go and look at potentially other open purchase orders and see, did I have a same item on a different one, and it can go and match to a different different purchase order. Or it might give you an option and an action to go and do a return on those parts. Let's also say that I received a part that I actually didn't have on this purchase order. But again, that might be on another purchase order. So it will go and look at other open purchase orders and try and do a match there as well. We've also done some work such that if there is a similar item, that it will actually go and give an example of say, okay, this is actually a alternate, and it will do an auto match on that if it thinks it's a similar item, and give you the choice to say, okay, this is an alternate. So these are all items that we are working on. And so I want to state, by the way, which I didn't start with, that this right now is in beta. So we actually have one customer up in Alaska that is putting it through its paces right now. And some of these other actions are going to be built out as we proceed along with this. Okay. And then from here, I can just go and receive this as it is. And then I can mark this as closed. All right. And so this is a very simple use case with only 4 items on here. You can imagine that if I have a purchase order that has dozens of these items in here, that going through and reconciling all of this can actually be a painful process. We're also working it in such that you'll have the ability to kind of do that third bit of reconciliation from what was in the box to what you have on the voucher and the PO. Right? So we're hoping to take what is a very onerous, time-consuming process and take it maybe from, what one PO might take 30 minutes. We hope to take it down to a few minutes. Okay. And so that is the receiving process. And by the way, if you have questions, we're going to open this up later on, and then you can ask all the questions you like on the receiving, as well as on our next piece. Okay. All right. So now I'm actually going to switch users for this next little piece, and I'm going to become our good friend Dylan. All right. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and demonstrate our revenue generating feature. So I'm going to come into our CRM, and I'm going to go to AI campaigns. So for those of you who use Flyntlok right now, maybe you've used some of our CRM campaigns in the past. And what that traditionally means is you need to go and run some reports of customers that you want to go and reach out to. You have to go and generate that list in Excel, and then import that into our CRM campaign, create your little message that you want to send out to all these customers. And yeah, we can put in a token and say, hey, dear Tim, are you interested in getting winter service for your machine? But it's very generic. All right. And you're blasting that out to hundreds or thousands of users who really might not be interested, or you're sending something that's very generic that they're just likely to hit, delete and move on with their day. With our AI campaign, we're going to go and create targeted messages for your users. All right. And we're going to go and look at the data that you have in your environment. We're going to go and look at your customers. What type of customer are they? What have they bought from you in the past? What kind of service have they done with you in the past? All right. And we're going to use that data to create targeted campaigns. In here, we'll give you the ability to have 3, 5, kind of frequently used items, but you can always type in your own text. Right. But for now, since I'm not good at my spelling, I'm going to use some of these defaulted ones. And I want to go and look inside my environment, and I want to find customers who are commercial and who are looking maybe for some maintenance specials. All right. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say, find customers. And the AI is going to go through and look at all of these, the data sets here, and it's going to come up with some targeted lists. And it's going to give a confidence value as to what it thought about this customer and their rationale for your targeted campaign. So it's going to give a little bit of a profile on it. Right? And this is the AI generating all this. It's going to go and look at the equipment that the customer owns. When do they last do a sale? When do they last have a service? And it's going to give you, the user, a rationale for why it picked it. Right? And then it's going to give you a suggested opening line for this. Now, right now, as I said, this is in beta, but in the future, you'll be able to come in here and you'll be able to edit this. Okay? And as I scroll through here, you're going to see it gives us different confidence levels of why it thinks that these are good customers to go and target. Now, for this demo, I'm going to do 2 different users. All right. I am going to go with, first off, I'm going to go with Sean here and his cell phone number. And he, being the contrarian that he always is, he's going to be a difficult customer. And he's going to give me a somewhat negative response. All right. And then I'm going to use Mike Wasserman, and I'm going to throw in his cell, and feel free to write his number down here in case you want to go and call him for some sales information, or you can call Sean for any complaints. All right. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to start AI conversations with those 2 folks. All right, Sean and Wasi, you both ready for your call or your messages here? Okay. And so you can see right now in my SMS inbox that the system automatically took me to, you can see this little cascading going on. This means right now that the AI has control of this conversation. All right. So it has sent out a message. It said, hey, Jordan, here's, I see you had your grandstand service picked up. All right. Are you interested in some other maintenance specials? All right. So this has gone to Wasi. We'll see what he comes back and says. All right. And then I've got Sean. All right. All right, I would rather chew glasses. It's actually pretty tame for Sean on that response. Okay, so then the AI is going to give a response back to both of them, right? And so if it actually needs more information, it might actually go and say, hey, are you looking, if he says, hey, I'm interested in learning some more, he'll say, great. If he asks a little bit more of a generic question, say, well, what about Bobcat? It might actually go back and ask him some more questions and say, hey, are you interested in sales for Bobcat? Or are you interested in service for Bobcat? All right. Now, for Sean, being the contrarian that he is, right? The AI went back and it said, oh, hey, I'm sorry to hear about your experience, right? And it will still create a lead in our system because you're probably going to want one of your sales folks to go and do a follow-up and see, hey, why did our service suck last time? Right? And what I can do then is I can go and jump to our leads. All right. And I can see in here that we had a new lead created for this. All right. The AI is going to go and give a summary of that conversation with them. And then if I'm a human salesperson, I can come in here and see the whole conversation that was going on. Thanks for your interest. Okay. All right. So now let's go and do a slightly different one. I just want to show you how the AI is going to handle some completely random items. So I can come in here and say, hey, I want to go and look at customers who are landscapers and might be interested in rock crushers. All right. Now, my whole database is basically going to be landscapers and that type of customer. Really not going to have anyone that's going to be interested in rock crushing equipment. But let's see what the AI comes up with. And then you'll see its confidence level and its rationale, and then its opening lines. And you'll actually be kind of impressed with how it handles some of these mismatching situations. All right, come on, AI. There we go. All right. So you can see this had a medium confidence level. The rest of these are mediums and lows. And it says, hey, I noticed you're building an impressive fleet of commercial equipment. You're looking to expand into any hardscape. And then in here, you can go off and blast off a message to them. All right. So those are two of the use cases that we are building literally as we speak. The goal is to get the first one, the receiving voucher one, through beta testing with a couple of customers during December, and then roll it out to a few more beta customers in the beginning of the year. And then the AI for CRM, we're hoping to release probably mid to late Q1 as well. And as you can imagine, we have a million different use cases for AI. The next logical one is one I kind of alluded to earlier on, and that's around complaint cause corrections. So now imagine creating a work order and being able to go in and speak to the speech to text and saying, here's this machine, here's the model and make, and here are the problems that the customer is giving, and then having that actually go and generate some suggestions of what the tech should actually go look at. In the same time, some techs might not be the best at writing up the complaint cause corrections that are going to be good enough for the customer. Now letting AI actually go through the text notes and what the work that was done, and then generating that text for you automatically for the customer. So we're also interested to hear what you folks might have to say. I'm sure in your dealerships, you can think of a million different use cases for this. And we want to hear from you. If you're a current Flyntlok customer, just go and hit the question mark up here and put in your use case. We want to hear it. Kind of think of this as like upvoting. If we get enough customers, clamoring for one feature, that will get raised up in the priority. If you're not a Flyntlok customer, feel free to talk to Wasi or to Alex, and they'll take care of you as well, and they'll give you a rough sense of where that might fit within our development queue for that. All right. And so with that, Wasi, did you open up the Q&A?
I did. There's the first question, Tim. I don't know if you can see it or not from Monica. How does the AI know when to stop auto responding?
Good question. So it basically kind of looks for a positive or negative sentiment in the conversation. So if it's still like vague, so if you just said, this message went out talking about service, and you said, well, hey, I'm interested in Bobcat. And so the AI is going to say, well, are you interested in sales or you're interested in service? And then you might say, I might be interested in this. Do you have anything like this? And then it might go and look at the inventory that you have and say, actually, yes, we do have this. Would you like to talk to a sales rep? or it might say, we do have that. I'm going to put you in touch with the sales rep. So it's usually when it sees a positive or negative sentiment one way or the other is when it's going to go and end that and hand off that conversation.
Thanks, Tim. Next question from Justin Caldwell. When will these two use cases launch?
So just as I said, Justin, chances are we'll get both of these out in Q1. We're going to do the receiving one first, and then we'll get the AI one, the CRM one out probably mid to late Q1 on that. And then I see in the intelligent receiving, does the system create a PO receipt that a voucher has to be applied to later, or does it create the AP voucher at the same time? So it created a voucher at the same time. So what it did was, when I said receive, it automatically created that voucher and added the PDF onto that voucher itself, and then parse through all that. So I think I'm answering that right.
Tim, you might want to comment on the physical check, right? So invoice to ship, if there's a discrepancy there.
Yeah, and so for that right now, we handle it as we currently do in Flintlock, but we're going to have a third level of that reconciliation in there for what was shipped and what was on the voucher. So that will come later on as well. John, I don't know if you have more to add on that.
Any other questions? All right, here we go from Clifford. Can you reconcile to a vendor statement to make sure all invoices are accounted for end of month?
So we don't do that just yet, but that's another good AI use case.
Is that all you got, Wasi?
That's all we have. Oh, what? Here we have a new one. Oh, we have a bunch more coming in now.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so I can see them on my screen here, so I'll kind of walk through these things. So can the freight be apportioned over the parts received automatically? We don't do that right now either. But so the AI doesn't do that right now. Sean, I believe we can do that.
We will do it on the equipment side, but on the parts side, we generally don't do that, period.
Okay, so Chad asked, if the CRM customer is not getting the responses they're asking for and realize that they're in AI chat, is there a way from the yeah, so we'll have a little opt-out for that. Again, the system is actually pretty good at recognizing like frustration or a positive sentiment either way, and then it is fairly quick to hand it off. But yeah, we could always say like, just like a stop, or like when you're receiving text message, we can always say like human or whatever. But most of these your customers aren't going to know that, and so again, the AI will probably figure out quickly if there is a positive negative sentiment to hand it off.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty good in recognizing negative sentiment and just stopping on its own and just saying,
if
okay.
it sees you're frustrated, it will it will hand it off.
Clifford had a follow-up.
Can you bring an invoice in without a voucher? Sean, do you want to answer that?
I guess I'm not sure. I mean, you can bring an invoice in, then AI is not really doing much at that point. So maybe I'm missing it, missing the question.
Yeah, I was as well.
There will be some options as to what to do in error cases. So right now you basically opt in for it to move forward as much as it can in any way it can, and then provide you with a list of things that were wrong. We have had a version out there, Tim, where you can have it just on exceptions that are just not do anything. So it goes manual basically at that point. But in the version you're showing, I think we've opted more towards plowing forward and letting people adjust afterwards. But it has to create a voucher because that's where it puts all the data that it pulls off the invoice.
All right. And so Dylan asked, will the AI CRM campaign keep customer location in mind? So yes. So you could actually, in one of those little prompts, I could say, give me landscapers in, a zip code, or in, let's say you're in multiple states. I can say who are, in Florida, I can actually go in and tailor that down to a location, and then it will filter that down.
You can also say landscapers who have gone to this location of my dealership. So you can do that as well. Limit it down that way.
Yep. All right. It looks like the PDF must be uploaded from outside Flintlock for this process to initiate. Will there eventually be an option to have invoices emailed directly to Flintlock where they can all be handled internally? That's a good point. Right now, yes, you're right. They do have to be done manually, and certainly in the future, that's a potential option that we could go and add those emailed directly in.
That's spec'd. That's actually spec'd for it to auto find the PO. So that should be happening in 26, Timmy. I saw that one. I'm just trying to, and going back to Cliff's question, um, I don't quite see that flow. We showed you a flow where you haven't created a voucher yet, and you just bring the invoice in, and we just start from there. But there's also, if you were to have already created a voucher, you could hit a button on a created voucher already, and then have it do it as well. There are some customers that load the invoices into Flintlock before they receive the parts, or before the parts have shown up. So we will support that workflow as well. You can upload it, and then when you're ready, have it processed by AI.
Okay. Monik asked if a lead is created for every CRM conversation. Ultimately, yes. So it's either going to be again, a positive or a negative. If someone says, no, I'm not interested, it still goes and creates something for you so that you can kind of see that I had this conversation in the past, and maybe I want to just go do a follow-up on
Tim,
that
can you
later.
pull it up? Because, I'd say probably 25% of our customers use CRM. Can you just pull up the leads page and just show them how statuses are managed and
Yep.
just quickly? We're still doing well on time, so
Okay. All right.
maybe just click in the one from Evan. That was me.
That was you. All right. So here's all the leads here, and I can have different statuses on this, high-level details on that. And then here is the lead here from Sean. And so over here, and Monica also asked, can you go in, or someone else asked, can I go and assign it automatically to a salesperson? And so, yes. So you can imagine that you're going to have different types of campaigns. I might have one that's a service-oriented one. I might have one that's more of a sales-oriented one. And I might have things in different locations. And so it will do its best to try and go and match. Okay, I'm going to go and send it to a person in the maintenance department or a person in the sales department. And we can later build on more rules on how you might want to go and set these to get notified or assigned. And it can potentially go and add in models or machines, if it was even a more targeted campaign on, let's say, a particular model that you're trying to go and sell and move.
The flow that happens now is that someone's usually the manager of these inbounds, and then they assign based on looking at them. So this one would probably be assigned to somebody in, Axle Grease. And then the status would change to, and then, yep, exactly. And this one would be 0, probably, Tim. 0. There you go. And then you can click the status, once it's been, you can basically create any statuses you want, but you can say, attempted. Yeah, you can do it. You can do it. You can control all your CRM communications like this. So,
Yeah. And so then in here, I can see all the conversations that's been going on. And then actually, I might want to come in here and I want to go and create a new task so I can see all the tasks that are on here. And I'm going to say, okay, I need to go and create a task and, call Sean. And, he was very upset. All right. And so I'm going to give him time to cool off. So maybe I'll go back to him in the beginning of the year. And then this is a high priority because he's upset. So I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to create this new task. And now I have this in here. All right. And I'll get a reminder to go and call Sean, this week when this is due. Okay. And you'll see the whole kind of running list of things that were going on with that. Can I use the AI to determine the list of customers to send an SMS to, but then to send a message that I create rather than the AI suggestion? So yes, Justin, as I mentioned during that thing, right now it's kind of like all just like hard-coded and not editable. But when we do release this, the find back my
You got to go back to your
yeah, I
yep.
gotta go back. So so this will auto generate a suggested opening line, but you'll be able to edit that.
Or
So
block edit. Yeah.
yeah, okay. If we adopt a new invoice format, how can we train the AI to recognize it correctly? Chris, that's actually a great question. So right now, Flintlock employees, we ourselves are training the AIs on all of the different OEMs and their invoices. So we're the ones responsible for that. And if you see issues on any of these things, you're just going to create a ticket and say, hey, it's not finding the due date or it's not matching something else up here. And we're going to go and do all those trainings. So we're doing that right now, vendor by vendor. Eventually, we will give our customers the capability to go and handle some of that. So maybe you want to go and override, how we're going and finding a particular field that goes onto that invoice. But right now, that is going to be a Flintlock training feature. Is any information public yet on what other AI features will be added next, or you're waiting for customer feedback? So all the ones that I've talked about so far, the receiving, the AI CRM, the complaint cause correction, other things that have come up is, you've got someone new who's on a counter and so a customer comes in and says, hey, what do you suggest for some lawn maintenance? And, what are the difference between this model and this model? And then actually just being able for you to go and chat with the AI and, actually ask some of the differences between the models or makes, and then give your customer back some replies. We have even had at the Equip Expo in Kentucky this year, we actually had 2 different customers come up and ask us to say, hey, I would love it if you could have an AI handle some of my incoming calls. And so there's always things that, hey, press 1 for service and 2 for sales. But being able to go and then inquire if it goes to sales, hey, what are you interested in right now? Okay, are you a landscaper or you're a home user? Oh, you're a home user. Hey, why don't you give me your address and I can, make some suggestions. And we've had folks say, hey, I wanted to go and look at that customer on Google Earth and look at the size of their yard and what kind of yard do they have? And then being able to go and make some suggestions to them. And then say, hey, are you looking for mowers? Are you looking for, weed whackers? Are you looking for this? And then, make those suggestions to them and then have that conversation first. And then it will go and then call the person, in the right department, and then, give them some information and create a lead for them. So for those, by the way, who don't use Flintlock, when an incoming call comes in, we can, if you're using a VoIP system, we'll look at the customer that's calling and their phone number, and we will automatically pop up a screen that will show, hey, here's the open leads that you have with them right now. Here are open sales orders or work orders that you have with them. And so what the AI can do is when it pops up that screen, it's going to actually say, hey, this customer lives here. They're interested in this type of equipment. So you can launch right in with the customer and you already know what they're looking for. So that's a more advanced one that's come up. But a lot of this is going to be customer led. So Flintlock in its development history has always been customer led. So we'll go and take a look at all these incoming requests that people make, and then those will kind of pop up higher.
And just to be clear, the last 2 Tim mentioned are utter vaporware, just ideas right now, so they're not slated to be used done.
Yeah.
But a lot of what we're doing with AI started beginning of the fourth quarter, released in the first quarter of 26, is baseline work, baseline communications, APIs. And then we have our 2 proof cases, which are that are slotted, and then the third one's we're working on the work order case as well. But the thing about it is, a lot of the work we've done to sort of do the next few gets done when we do the first few. So our ability to add new features after that should be a lot faster than the first 2. So, for instance, just connecting your data into the model is a big kind of foundational piece of work we've already completed.
Yeah.
So yeah, they should come pretty quickly after that. But honestly, we are looking for your feedback.
And you know, and those are some examples that, like, you know, our customers, when they think of AI, they get excited about these different features in here, and you know, they're coming up with some crazy things that you know, 2 years ago, if you said you could go do that, like, you know, it would be almost laughable. The technology's come along so far so quickly that things like that are actually, you know, near future now. Okay, what APIs are available to be able to connect to some of our other tools? So I'm assuming, Sean, that you mean some other AI tools that you're using. So right now, the AIs that we're featuring or that we're going to be building in are going to be just kind of again, not bolt onto the system. They're going to be built directly into the system. So we don't have plans in the immediate future to go and expose APIs for other tools. But that could change. But as of right now, it's going to be, you know, things that are built into the system.
And we can follow up too on some of these
Yeah.
more expansive questions because we're interpreting right now.
By the way, other use cases are, you know, smart routing for delivery. So I've got, you know, X number of machines I need to go and, you know, deliver and pick up, and then finding the best days and looking at people's calendars to go and pick up and deliver some of these pieces of equipment, as another example. But other data warehouses and software. So we can, you know, maybe it's a separate.
Wait, Tim, what was the question?
So Sean, I'm assuming you guys can see my screen, but maybe
Oh, no, I can't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So Sean had asked not just AI tools, but other data warehouses and software. So that's just, I guess, outside of AI, and we can always have that as
Sean should just call if he wants. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll follow up with Sean. We'll follow up with Sean.
Yeah, because he can turn on data warehouse with us.
But we do all sorts of other integrations with you know, dozens and dozens of different third party
Zapier and things like that.
Yeah. And I apologize. I thought everyone could, you know, so I see these questions on my screen. I thought you guys could all see those. So apologies. All right. Any other questions?
Tim, if that's the end, I'll just say a few words to close it up.
Okay, that'd be great.
You think we're good? I
think we're probably good. I will stop sharing and people get to see your mug.
Cool. So just want to thank you all for coming to the call. I was thinking about this recently. As you know, we just closed this big round of financing for our company. We're accelerating development with that money, and a lot of it's in AI, a lot of it's in performance and scalability, and the ability, basically, just do a better job for you, our customers. I'm reminded we started this company in August 20th of 2015. I'm looking at my board to see it, and we had our first. My dealership went live in 2017 on May 18th of 2017. We've been working at this for a long time. Of course, the main growth has happened in the last 3 years as we started to scale the company up. But we take your confidence and your trust in us very seriously, and we're running a fast plan here to help you with your businesses. I know as a dealer myself, I know 2025 was a little challenging. We're constantly looking for ways to save you money and to get more people in the door. So please reach out. I think in 2026 we're going to be doing more of these calls. We just brought on a product manager, and we're going to try to do. I hope you like our release notes every 2 weeks. But we're going to try to do one of these quarterly to go over some of our key features, try to get more people using some of the newer features. Some people don't even know some of the things we've built. We're releasing new things every 2 weeks, and we found sometimes the message doesn't get to everybody. So we're going to be doing more of these in the future. And again, we all take our jobs here very, very seriously. And thank you for spending the time with us today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.